everyone, and welcome to Sweet Bit Radio. This is the first episode, and it is an episode that I've been trying to do for many months now, and I just haven't been able to. And now that we're all in quarantine, I have so much time to do it, and I just figured, why not go ahead and try to start this podcast off and try to do something. I've been doing the blogs, I've been doing the Instagram posts, and I figured now was the time to officially start the podcast. And what better way, well, there are probably 1,000 better ways to start this podcast, episode content-wise, but the first episode that I have chose to do is regarding the always forgotten Kiss Marvel comic. There was a third one. There's a trilogy of Kiss Marvel comics, and you're probably thinking to yourself, no, there's the original one with the Kiss blood, then there's the later one, and then that's it. Some people now, where they think of the third Kiss Marvel comic, they think of the sketch drawing that we got to see a few years back of the band in their Dynasty costumes in a similar fashion to the second comic, with it looked like some wizard sucking up an audience during a Kiss Dynasty era show, and we never got that. We just got concept art, but we did get a third Kiss Marvel comic in the mid-90s, and it's one that nobody ever talks about, and until recently I had forgot that this comic actually existed. It wasn't until this recent Kiss Marvel clothing line collaboration started that I was like, holy cow, what is some of this artwork from? And it's actually from the third Kiss comic, and that's called Kiss Nation, and it came out in 1996. This was during the resurgence of Kiss, if you will. Reunion tour was in swing at this time, but it looks like this comic actually started production 1994, and the more we talk about it, the more it kind of just, you see where Kiss was whenever this comic started, and then by the end of it, how totally different things were for him, and how these loose ends kind of tie up. So it's interesting. And before we begin the Kiss Nation look back, I just wanted to say that this podcast is not, I repeat, is not sponsored by Gene Simmons Moneybag Soda. But if Gene Simmons Moneybag Soda wants to sponsor this podcast, go ahead. I drink it daily. Rocket Fizz, my local Rocket Fizz, has finally opened back up after this quarantine. Here in North Carolina, we're kind of opened up a little bit. And Rocket Fizz finally opened this week, and I was finally able to get in there and get some of that sweet, good known as Gene Simmons Moneybag Soda. And actually, just a little quick side bit, getting the soda, I was actually able to get 2 of the carriers, I guess they would be called, that holds 4 of the sodas. I was able to get those. I got a Diet Cola one and a ginger ale one, and I was so happy. The lady just got them out of the bag for me. It was really cool. She talked Kiss with me for a little bit, and I was asking her when the new Gene Simmons Moneybag cream soda was going to hit our Rocket Fizz. And she said that she was going to try to get in it. She said she was part of a board for Rocket Fizz. I'm not exactly sure about that. But anyway, go get you some Gene Simmons Moneybag Soda. And let's just fight this thing together. And let's just all drink some Moneybag together during this quarantine time. Anyway, back to the topic that we were talking about. Let's just talk about Kiss Nation. And the first time I ever saw this comic, it was actually in the I believe it's called, well, I'm looking right at Take a Shot, not Kicks. Kiss Rocks the World magazine. And this comic got republished inside of this magazine. And inside the comic, they throw in more articles, more pictures, and stuff like that. And the reason why it was actually republished, it says so in the magazine. Gene states that during Marvel's bankruptcy in the mid-90s, I want to say it was like 1996 is when they filed for bankruptcy, only 10,000 copies of this comic were pressed. And they didn't go to newsstands or anything like that. They just went to specialty comic book stores. So, yeah, I think a lot of people, at least that I talk to, know Kiss Nation is just kind of that Marvel comic inside Kiss Rocks the World, but it's actually a standalone comic. And it actually has a very cool fold-out poster cover. And that fold-out poster is actually one of the t-shirts in the Marvel Kiss clothing line collaboration. Too many words for me to stutter upon. So that's kind of what got my interest, because I remember seeing the artwork and then seeing the cover of the comic, and it's not the exact same, but whenever you open up the actual comic of Kiss, not Kicks. We are not talking about Kicks today. Podcast. I remember what the hell. This just went off rails for a second. The Kiss Nation fold-out poster on the inside is the exact design that's on the t-shirt. So we'll go from there. Basically what it seems like to me during this time period of Kiss, which is so weird, because it's so crazy to think of how Kiss started the 90s and how Kiss ended the 90s. They are two totally different bands. And one thing that I found unique about this situation was Kiss, the latest studio album to be released before the Kiss Nation comic was actually Revenge, which goes back to their, I guess, quote-unquote glory days of Destroyer, in ways that it's produced by Bob Ezrin. And Revenge is also produced by Bob Ezrin. So, in my mind, it just seems like they're trying to go back to their quote-unquote glory days. And during this time, it just seems like, hey, we had a successful Marvel comic in that time. Let's have another one. And it really seems that the starting ground for this comic started back in 1994, and Gene in the Rocks the World magazine mentions that him and Stan Lee were wanting to do another Marvel comic related to Kiss again. And just during that meeting, it seems like some groundwork was laid down for the Kiss Nation. And it also talks about in the Kiss Rocks the World magazine that Todd McFarlane had also talked to Gene about trying to do something with the Kiss Nation comic, but Marvel was already invested in it. So that's just a little fun bit of information. Obviously, Todd McFarlane would go on to make the first Kiss toys in a very long time, and would continue a line from there of just Kiss McFarlane figures. And I just wanted to also mention that during this time, from 1994 when this first started to 1996 when this was kind of just shoehorned out, it feels like, Marvel actually re-releases the first two Kiss comics in a huge magazine called Kiss Classics. And like I said, that has the first two Kiss Marvel Super Specials, I think it's like the proper title of them, in that. And it just seems like they did that to either lay it over fans who were waiting on Kiss Nation, or also, I mean, just to show people, hey, we had these successful comics in the 70s, and here they are again. And oh, by the way, we're gonna be doing another one later on. So I just always found that was interesting. The Kiss and Marvel just randomly put out the two 70s comics again, and that was in 1995. So you got to think too, that was pre-reunion too. So it just goes to show you that even before the reunion actually happened, it was just constantly building up to it. And like I said, the reunion happens in 1996, and I don't have an exact release date of when Kiss Nation come out. It just seems like it just kind of came out and here it was. But what's unique about it is, and I know most Kiss comics, it's always there's a band Kiss and then there's a superhero Kiss. And what's unique about this comic is it features Eric Singer and Bruce Kulick as band Kiss. And in Superhero Kiss, the Space Ace and the Catman, to me, bear a resemblance to what Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer might look like in those makeups respectively. And you got to think too, this was done so many years before Eric Singer would just take over the Catman persona, you know? So it just blows my mind. And there's no like specific information regarding the Spaceman, or the Space Ace as he is in the Kiss Nation comic, and the Catman being Eric and Bruce transformed within that. But that's just how I always viewed it, just the way the drawings are laid out, the hair colors and stuff. They both have brown hair and blonde, well, for Eric, blondish hair. And I'm actually looking through the comic right now as we're talking about it. So within this comic, it starts off and it's supposed to be like the 70s superhero Kiss fighting these mutants or these monsters that they can't destroy. And this just fight goes on for quite a few pages, and it really does have some cool artwork. I mean, it's kind of what you would expect for mid-90s Marvel drawing styles. But what's unique is like just like halfway through the comic, it just turns into like Gene, Paul, Eric, and Bruce are just standing in Stanley's office, and they're talking about making this comic. And this just kind of shows that the comic's kind of tongue-in-cheek. And if you read the comic, you'll know exactly what I mean as far as like how they're telling events and storylines and differentiating between band Kiss and superhero Kiss. And so this is goes on for a panel or two, and then Gene is talking about wanting the comic to feature the X-Men, and then he picks up this comic, and he's like looking at Magneto, and he's just, it's either Magneto or Professor X, I'm not exactly sure. He's just looking at the image of this character, and it's just staring at him, and then it just goes back to superhero Kiss fighting this monster, and then Paul randomly gets brown hair within one panel, and then the next part introduces the X-Men fighting these mutants alongside the band, or not the band, the superhero Kiss. So that goes on for a little bit, and Gene comments on Psylocke a few times, just kind of sexualizing her, definitely playing up the Gene persona. And then there's like this whole shattered dimension thing, and then somehow band Kiss gets brought into the reality of superhero Kiss, and there's like this kid playing with these action figures, and this is how all of this crazy stuff is happening. And then band Kiss destroys these mutants by taking a tour truck and like exploding it into the monster. The artwork gets very different towards the later part. I've noticed that. Just the way the characters start looking and stuff, it's just totally different. And the hair colors, like I mentioned, Paul's always seems to like just constantly change, which I don't understand. Just the really light blonde hair. But towards the end, you will see Kiss without makeup performing. And what I just find unique about this is Kiss performing without their makeup, them just showing that out in the open whenever this has come out and the reunion tour's already kicked in. I mean, the original pressing of the comic has a ton of things of Kiss in their makeup and promoting You Wanted the Best, and different articles and just different pictures of them with their makeup on, the newer photos of them with their makeup. So I just always found that interesting. They're just promoting Eric and Bruce in this comic, and one of the panels even outright mentions that Peter and Ace had yet to join the band during this time. So that was something that it's just weird looking back at it now, and I'm not sure because I was like 3 years old in 1996, exactly like time frame for this, and without there being like a release date out online that I have yet to be able to find. It just shows you once again the difference in the band and in the name Kiss from 1994 to 1996. So it just really does seem like they had this concept, and they were just going to switch back into the 70s like superhero Kiss that were in the Marvel comics, and they were just going to use Eric and Bruce to kind of play the part of Ace and Peter within those. So I'm just scrolling through these notes, and like I said, this is a very cool crossover because it does feature X-Men. You will get to see Wolverine and Paul Stanley side by side, and it's just really cool to look at this and then look back at the other two Kiss Marvel comics. During this collaboration with Marvel and Kiss, it's super cool, and it's just so weird that in 2020 we are having this crossover again, and I just wonder if Kiss is ever gonna like reappear in another Marvel publication. I do know that the two Kiss comics got reprinted not too long ago, actually, in a trade paperback, and I cannot remember the name of the trade paperback that they were reproduced in. So and I'm not exactly sure like of the rights and everything. This is just me just thinking to be thinking, but it's just so unique. And I know I've said that a lot, but it still blows my mind. Because like I've said, I've not read this comic in the like 12 or 13 years that I've been a Kiss fan. I've just always seen it and always known that nobody really talks about it. So I've never just spent time to look at it. And I was shocked whenever I saw Eric and Bruce were in the comic. So... And flipping through it, there's some articles about MTV Unplugged, and like I said, there's definitely a lot of reunion era promo stuff in here as well, just as far as like Paul advertising his guitar. And like I mentioned, there's also the You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best advertisement in there. So out of all the Kiss comics that have come out, you look at the solo ones, the Kiss versus the Army of Darkness, the Blood and Stardust, all of those. I mean, I feel like Kiss has never stopped being in comics, and I don't think that they have since the Psycho Circus comics from the late 80s. It seems like they've just constantly been in comics somewhere. So it just always blows my mind that this one never gets mentioned or brought up. And now, what is it? 24 years later, there's just this random t-shirt, and it just shows the Kiss Nation artwork on it. It's just so unique, and it's so wild. And that kind of just wraps up this first episode of Sweet Bit Radio. If you want to, I'm trying to think of everything to plug, take a shot. So, if you want to read the blogs that I post, go on Tumblr. There's Sweet Bit Radio. Right now, I've just got 2 Cheap Trick articles up on there, and the Kiss Nation one. You can go find us on Instagram too. It's just, I believe it's at Sweet Bit Radio. And there I don't post every day, but I try to post at least 2 or 3 times a week. Just different music merchandise, This is what this podcast is about. And I guess before I wrap up, I will talk about this. Sweet Bit is just a brand that I'm trying to build. Just being inspired by podcasts like Kiss My Wax, Cheap Talk, and 3 Sides of the Coin are like the top 3 that I think of. And I'm just always inspired by those, always listen to them, always just learning new things through podcasts. So that's what I'm trying to do. With the Instagram, it's definitely inspired by John Five's Nights in Satan Service, and I didn't want to try to just directly rip off of him and just post vintage Kiss stuff all the time. Usually the Kiss stuff that I post is newer, and then, like I said, it's just all music thing, or all bands. It's not just Kiss stuff, and this podcast isn't just going to be strictly related to Kiss, although Kiss is going to pop up quite a few times because that's just my favorite band. So I'm just trying to lay it all out there. No Facebook yet. Kind of need to make a Facebook for this. And then not exactly sure where all this podcast is going to pop up. It's definitely going to pop up on YouTube. And that's just on the Cross Section Angels page. That's my band's page that I just kind of use for my YouTube. So definitely go check that out. And just like and subscribe. This isn't going to be perfect. This is just one guy doing it. And a guy who stutters quite a bit when talking. I'm sure you've heard and noticed. But I'll try to make it fun, try to make it entertaining. And if you have any suggestions, please let me know. Like I said, first episode, just trying to get out there so I can motivate myself to start making more, and not just start one and then finish it and then never publish it and then wait around 6 months and try again. Definitely going to try to focus on this, and then just more reviews on music related stuff. So just stay in the know. Alright, I guess that is it for this Sweet Bit.